Hi NFN, and welcome to our Happy HallowGreen event. In a little bit you're going to hear a program from one of our zoo staff who's a conservation expert who's going to walk you through how to be a more conscious consumer during the holidays this season. But first, I have a special guest that I'd like to introduce you to. Here with me I have keeper Regina and a special friend. Regina, can you tell us who this is?
I'd love to. This is Flick, and he is our 16-year-old laughing kookaburra who's very hungry right now.
Yes.
Okay.
So we just brought Flick out into the sun. He's been getting all warmed up and happy. He's been talking to us a little bit, so hopefully we'll hear his voice a little bit more this afternoon. But can you tell us where Flick comes from?
Absolutely. So laughing kookaburras are found in Australia, all across Australia, and they're the largest member of the kingfisher family, which is a group of birds that hunt and eat other animals. And they tend to live by water. So Flick, if he lived in the wild in Australia, would be eating small birds, mice, all sorts of different sorts of invertebrates and bugs. He'd be eating small fish or crayfish and just about anything he could catch.
Okay. What is he eating right now? So she is feeding him some snacks to keep him interested. Can you tell us what he's eating?
Absolutely. On the menu today, we have some live mealworms, which are a favorite of most of the birds here on zoo grounds that like to eat other critters like bugs. And he also has some mice.
Oh, yummy.
Yeah, we do.
So they naturally live in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And how long do they live in the wild normally?
They tend to average about 10 to 12 years in the wild. They have a much harder life than they do here in human care. So Flick at 16 is a fairly average lifespan for a kookaburra, but they can in human care live into their early 30s.
Oh, wow. Okay. So how long has Flick been here at Woodland Park Zoo?
He came 5 years ago when he was 11.
Okay.
He came to join our family when our ambassador animal team was growing and changing a bit. So he was one of our first new additions and has been just a joy to work with.
Yeah, he's definitely very engaging, and I'm sure you can hear his voice a little bit as we're going. But can you tell us a little bit more about what his life here is like at the zoo? What kinds of things does he like to do for fun and to keep himself engaged and healthy?
Absolutely. So Flick has a big bedroom at Ambassador Animals, which is a behind-the-scenes area of the zoo. And Flick sort of spends his time doing two things. Either hanging out in the sunshine, which he loves. You can see right now he's sort of sunbathing. His feathers are sticking straight up. He's sort of fanning out one of his wings, and he's just really enjoying hanging out in the sun. But if he's inside, he loves playing with one toy in particular. He loves a wiffle golf ball. It's something that's about the size of a prey item. And kookaburras in the wild, they will catch something, and to kill it, they'll sort of bash it on a branch or a rock. And so he'll do that with the golf ball. He'll also sort of shoot it out of his mouth and go chasing after it like it's something that he could catch. So kookaburras really enjoy either just hanging out or they enjoy hunting because they love to eat. So his life here at the zoo is very similar.
Yeah. Oh, that's very fun that he has those toys to play with and engage himself. And then you mentioned a little bit about what he eats.
Yes.
But can you tell us how he gets fed since he's not hunting here at the zoo?
Absolutely. So we try to give all the animals as much enrichment as we can. And one of those ways for animals that like to eat bugs is we give them live bugs. So he has different size crickets and mealworms that he can hunt and dig out of toys and puzzle feeders at Ambassador Animals. But they also love to eat whole prey, so things like mice and fish, which we can feed him here. But we get those things frozen, thaw them out, and then when they're room temperature, then he can have them.
Then he gets to snack them.
Yep.
So he's making some sounds right now. Can you tell us what they might mean, or if they make more sounds in the wild?
Absolutely. So they have quite a repertoire of sounds that they make. Flick right now is sort of making a sound a baby kookaburra might make.
Okay.
And it's a sound telling mom and dad, I'm ready for food, you can feed me now, which is the sound we most commonly hear from Flick. But right? It's true, that sound. Kookaburras, though, are known for their really long territorial call. It's made up of lots of trills and different sort of sounds like coo-coo-coos and all sorts of things. And Flick doesn't normally do that sound just when we're hanging outside in our programs on grounds, but he loves to make that sound when he is taking a bath. He likes to guard his swimming pool and tell every other kookaburra in the area, this is mine, you can't have it right now.
Oh, so we love swimming also, so I understand that. And he is the only kookaburra that we have here, correct? Or is there more?
We do. We have more kookaburras. So Flick is the only one on the ambassador animal team living with our team. But Australasia has a pair of kookaburras that are in their late 20s now. And the last couple of years, they've actually had babies every summer, which is really, really exciting. So if you come to the zoo and you're on zoo grounds over by the wallaroos and wallabies, you'd be able to see kookaburras right there up close for you.
Okay. So one more thing, you've mentioned ambassador animals a couple of times, and that Flick is one. Can you tell us what that means and a little bit about that program?
Absolutely. So the ambassador animal program and team is made up of animals that are sort of unique to a lot of the animals that live here at the zoo. They live behind the scenes and they go out and do programs, up close programs with people here on zoo grounds, whether that's at a program at the Wildlife Theater or Alfred Broadleaf Stage. They might go to a birthday party. And then before the COVID pandemic, they also went off grounds to schools and libraries and festivals so that we could meet and reach members of our community who couldn't come onto zoo grounds. And since the pandemic, we've started doing different programs online, virtually, so that we can still connect with people who love to meet animals up close.
Yeah. Well, in a second, we're going to zoom in so you can get a look at him. But I just wanted to thank you, Regina, and thank you, Flick. So everyone enjoy the program. You're going to get a close look at Flick here really quick, and we'll be back in a second. Thank you, Regina and Flick, for showing us a little bit about our Ambassador Animals program. And now I am going to turn it over to Bobbi Miller, who is Woodland Park Zoo's Wildlife Conservation Manager. Welcome, Bobbi, and thanks for talking to us this evening.
All right, thank you so much, Regina and Flick, and welcome Network for Nature. As Molly mentioned, I'm Bobbi Miller. I work in our Wildlife Conservation Division here at Woodland Park Zoo, and I'm delighted to be able to join you and share a little follow-up information on palm oil. I know this has been a busy palm oil year for you all, and then just share some fun ideas about sustainability for the holidays. So once again, thank you so much for joining me. And again, I'm Bobbi Miller from our Wildlife Conservation Division. So you've all learned an incredible amount about palm oil this year. I know it's been a long journey. It can be a bit of a difficult journey, but I wanted to just reiterate a couple things that I think are important for us to remember as we move forward with what we've learned and where we go as consumers. The first is that palm oil has been cultivated for over 4,000 years. Hunters and gatherers have been using it forever. It's been around for a really long time, and it's safe to say that it's going to be around for a very long time. It's not going anywhere soon. So one of the things about palm oil that is important to remember is that it's uniquely productive. When you look at palm oil compared to all the other vegetable oils that we use, palm oil is 6 to 10 times more efficient, meaning that it uses less land, less fertilizer, less water, less pesticides, and the production is so much greater. When you have a growing global population, it's incredibly important that we're able to feed them. And this is why palm oil is so important. As I mentioned, it takes less water, less fertilizer, less pesticides. Those are things that we're putting back into the environment that we don't need to put into the environment. So the productivity is really important when you think about palm oil, feeding the global masses, the high heat that you can use palm oil at, and then again, what we're not putting back into the environment. So really protecting what we have. It's important to know that there is enough degraded land for us not to have to do any more deforestation for palm plantations. So we're in good shape. We don't need to change the way that we're doing things. We don't need to deforest any more land for these new palm plantations. the next thing I just want to mention is that palm plantations do get a bad rap for cutting into protecting biodiversity. And there is some truth to that. I don't want to pull any punches. There are issues with palm oil. One of them is certainly that animals can't move from place to place. One of the things I want to share with you is that there are a number of palm plantations now that are working with ecologists and environmentalists to start thinking about how we allow that undergrowth to happen. So when you drive through Eastern Washington, you look out at those fields, you see those very straight rows of produce, or, you know, whatever product you're looking at, or produce that you see on that the farmers are growing, and you see nothing but dirt in between. It's very clean, it's very sterile. What many palm plantation owners are doing now is allowing that undergrowth to really establish itself so that we increase that level of biodiversity through those palm plantations. Why that's important is because, as you all know, we are in the midst of a pandemic that we know has been the result of spillover from animals and humans coming into close contact through various reasons. So we really need to make sure that we're protecting some of that space between humans and animals. And by having that understory and allowing them to move, we're able to do that. I also want to remind you that certified sustainable palm oil is a little bit hard to come by right now. It's difficult. A lot of the producers grow it in mass. There are a number of smallholders that are now growing certified sustainable palm oil, but we don't have enough in the production line right now to satisfy everybody that wants to source certified sustainable palm oil. That is something that RSPO is working on. We should see more of that certified sustainable palm oil flooding the market soon. Now, again, in not pulling any punches with you, because you've been down this road, you've done the work, you've studied, you've learned, I do want to be sure to say that there are still some concerns and still some issues as it relates to palm oil. And one of those, as you most recently probably saw, is that there are some continuing human rights issues. I know that when you have a governing body like RSPO and they just begin and they're not all that old, it's a little bit difficult to deal with these issues. But I will say that with the input from a number of organizations, including NGOs and Woodland Park Zoo, we have a seat at the table. We are making stricter principles and criteria for all of those palm plantation owners to follow. And that makes it much easier for us to follow those guidelines and then make sure that we have recourse if people aren't. It's not a walk in the park. There are still issues to address. We're continuing to address them. I did want to show you, though, that in lieu of the recent articles that you saw about human rights abuses, that RSPO has come out with an incredibly strong statement. They are moving forward in making sure that we are following up on all human rights abuses. We want to prevent those in the future. And they are taking steps to suspend companies from RSPO that are weak on enforcement. This gets stronger every year. I have seen over the course of the years that we have been a member of RSPO that companies like Hershey and Nestle have been held to task for issues that they've had. So again, we're getting stronger. It's going to take time. It will take more decisive action, but RSPO is up to the challenge. So wrapping up everything that you've learned about palm oil this year, I want to thank you so much because it's, as I mentioned at the top of this talk, I know that this is difficult. When we talk to you about palm oil, we talk to you about losing biodiversity, we talk to you about orangutans and tigers not being able to move, we talk to you about 200 names for palm oil, which makes it incredibly difficult. You took on a big challenge this year, and I really want to thank you for that. I do want to share with you that Woodland Park Zoo remains a member of the RSPO. We want that seat at the table. We want to be able to influence the decisions that are being made. Also this year, part of the work that you all have done, and as an inspiration because of the work you've done, we joined NASPON, which is the North American Sustainable Palm Oil Network. We are one of just a handful of NGOs or zoos that are part of NASPON. The reason that I thank you for this is because the work that you have done has inspired RSPO to build this North American group, which takes in not just zoos and folks that are interested in other NGOs, but companies here based in the United States that are willing to commit to certified sustainable palm oil. That's all work that you've done through letters, through learning, through your shopping decisions. All of those things have made this possible. Incredibly important. I know as we move forward down the line, if you have continued questions about palm oil, you are free to check out our website. We do have a palm oil page. We do have, if you want to involve kids in this conversation, we do have some pages on our Zoo2You site on the zoo's website. I really want to thank you, though, for your commitment to palm oil, using the app, and then making sure that you're protecting the bulk of the world's biodiversity through protecting tropical rainforests. So now we move from palm oil, which was a little bit difficult and a big learning curve. I know I've been involved in palm oil for 8 years, and it's still a huge learning curve for me, to something that's a little bit more fun, I hope, and a little bit lighter. And that is just walking through how we make your holidays a little bit more sustainable. Simple actions you get to do at home. The first thing is right after Halloween, which is a couple days away, and I'm sure you're all using our Halloween candy guide that's found on the zoo's website. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. Again, that's part of one of those actions you can take from home. Next big holiday is Thanksgiving. This year, I'm going to suggest that you all think about buying local. Last year, I bought a turkey from our local farmers market, the Ballard Farmers Market. I ordered it in advance and was able to schedule a pickup time. While I was at the farmers market, I was able to pick up the other produce and some of the fruit that I wanted for Thanksgiving. I know that Thanksgiving might be a little bit different this year for a lot of us. We may not be entertaining. Although, if you have a quarantine or you have a quarantine bubble and you are going to host a Thanksgiving dinner, do buy local, support our local agriculture, our local farmers, cut down on the emissions from those trucks that are trucking everything in and out of our area, and then do your friends a favor that join you that day. Send that food home with them. Send leftovers home. It's a nice way to make sure we're not wasting food, and it's also a great way for them to remember what a lovely evening they had with you. It was a great get-together, so go ahead and send those foods home with them. Now, after Thanksgiving, we all gear ourselves up towards the holidays and we start to think about gift giving. One of the things that I wasn't aware of is that most of the wrapping paper we buy in the stores is not recyclable, especially if it has a foil aspect to it. It is not recyclable. It all goes in landfill. So just some simple ideas and some fun ideas for how you might want to think about wrapping those gifts this year. You can buy a big roll of brown craft paper, super inexpensive, buy some twine, and then decorate it to your heart's content. If you have kids, let the kids decorate it. If you're artistically inclined, you can do that on a rainy afternoon. I can't because I'm not artistically inclined, but if that doesn't work for you, go to Joann Fabrics online, order some muslin bags. You can buy iron-on transfers, and then you can give a gift in a reusable bag. So that's cool too. One of the things that I know a lot of us have been involved in, since a number of us work from home these days, is actually getting our fingers into the dirt and doing some gardening. It's not just vegetables, it's plants and flowers and pollinators that we're interested in. It's that ability to get outside a little bit and just get your hands dirty. If you know somebody that's taking up gardening or that kind of growing your own food idea, another great gift is to give them things that encourage that. Because not only does it give them fresh fruits and vegetables for themselves or a lovely garden to look at, but it also really supports our local pollinators. You can give them fruit seeds, you can give them seed cards that can just be planted and then flowers will grow. It's awesome. You can find those on Etsy. You can give them a mason bee house so that there are bees that are populating our neighborhoods. Pretty much anything that you can think of is available for a gardener. And think about other sustainable items too, not necessarily gardening related, but things that pull from sustainable options in our environment, like bamboo keyboards, which are recyclable and great, solar powered lights for backyards so that you're not using as much electricity. Or you can think about some upcycled gifts, like go throw your mask on, go to Goodwill, buy some old silverware, and then stamp in garden names like thyme or oregano or basil and give them as a gift so somebody can use them in their garden. And for those that are just getting started, the zoo's website gives you a ton of great information. Right around Earth Day this past year, we were gearing up for what we thought was going to be a big Earth Day event on zoo grounds, which we were unfortunately unable to do, but I'm crossing my fingers that in the future we will. But we put together with the help of a lot of experts. So I want to give some credit to Erin Sullivan, one of our animal care folks, and David Selk in horticulture, and then our creative services team. And we worked really hard to put together some documents that help new gardeners. It tells you a lot about how to prepare your soil, how to plant, where to plant, when to plant, all these things I never would have thought of. Things like putting little pebbles in your bird bath so that bees don't drown. I didn't know that bees could drown. So just interesting little tidbits like that that really make taking that step into gardening fun. And all of that helps our local pollinators. It helps our community. Yeah, we want to support those hardworking pollinators as much as we can. Okay, if you're up for decorating this year, if you plan on getting the tree, if you want to decorate the house, and who doesn't want to see some joy when you go out for a walk these days, I suggest taking a look at solar lights. I have some solar lights in my backyard, which is lovely because they soak up what light I have during the day. In the evening, those lights, I look out my back door, the lights are lit up, and then by the time I go to bed, they've used up their energy, they shut off. I don't have to turn them off. I don't have to worry about that. It's a lovely little light show that takes care of itself, and it's all solar powered. Indoors or outdoors, if you want other lights, feel free to go with LEDs because they last a lot longer. They use a whole lot less energy. You don't have to buy them as frequently. That's a total bonus. All right, as we talk about that gift giving thought process, I don't know about you. I'm sitting down. You can't see the 10 pounds I've gained since I've been working from home. I've been baking a lot. My husband was baking a lot. I'm happy that he is back at work because it means he's baking less. But the reality is we've taken up baking bread or cookies or things like that. This is a really nice time to share them with friends and neighbors. You can put them in reusable tins, give them out. It's a lovely gift. It's a thoughtful gift. If you're not a baker, then go ahead and think about a gift certificate. Give away an hour of babysitting. I know my next door neighbors love when I give them an hour of babysitting so that they can just go for a walk with the dog and leave the 2 kids at home. Now, speaking of kids, if you're looking to buy toys, and I did the whole plastic toy route when my son was young, lots of toys. He loved them for a short period of time, then they would break. then we didn't know what to do with them. You can't give them to Goodwill broken, so they end up going into landfills. We don't want that when they break. So here's an idea. You might want to try a toy library. It's great. It's a service. You're able to just order the toys that kids want. They're delivered once a month. They're clean. They're sanitized. Kids don't get bored. And then you just return them when you're done. So another great option for something that is more sustainable. Okay, this one's a little bit hard. I know. We're all stuck at home. We don't want to be stuck at home. We want to go out and do things, but it's a little bit difficult right now. That doesn't mean you can't give away experiences. Those are the moments that we all love. So think about when times go back to a semblance of normalcy that we're used to, doing those experiences that we know our friends and family are going to love. So a zoo membership, an aquarium membership, a museum membership, anything like that, which is going to get you outside or get you out of the house. Music or dance lessons. This is a great time to think about offering those lessons. You can do a lot of those online. Some of them you don't even need to leave the house for. So really a great option. Sporting events. I know I'm dying to go back to a WSU Cougar game. Probably not going to happen for a while, but that doesn't mean that I can't tell my son that when we can go back to a Cougar game, he'll have tickets. Remember those gift certificate little thing I showed you just a couple slides ago? Go ahead and make that experience the gift certificate that you just start to plan towards. It's a great idea. And remember, those experiences and those memories are going to last a lifetime, a whole lot longer than plastic toys or any of those other things, including the bread and cookies we're all going to eat. So I know this year is different. It's incredibly different. It's hard. It's tough. We don't get to be with all the people that we love. We don't get to be with all our friends and family. You can still do that. We can still do virtual meetings. I mean, they're fun. They're full of mishaps. They're enjoyable. They make you laugh. And you get to see those people that you care about. So think about a virtual holiday party or a virtual happy hour. Share Thanksgiving virtually if you can. It's easily doable. One thing that I want to say, though, is there are a lot of people who don't have the skills to do these things virtually. They may be older, they may be isolated, they may not have friends or family. Think about them a little bit too. If you have someone in your neighborhood like that, drop a little gift basket off on their porch, or just let them know that somebody cares, somebody's thinking about them. You're still going to find ways to celebrate with your friends and family. Just have to do it this year in a little bit safer way. So again, I want to thank everyone for allowing me to join you. This has been a real treat. I can tell you from a conservation standpoint, the focus you have put on palm oil this year has warmed my heart. It gives me so much hope. In closing, I want to say this isn't going to last forever. It's our reality for now. Know that there are simple and easy actions that you can take in your daily life. I appreciate everything that you all are doing. I appreciate everything that you are learning. And I thank you so much for being a part of our Woodland Park Zoo family. And I thank you so much for caring. And I wish you happy holidays.
Thank you so much, Bobbi. That was fantastic. And it actually got me a little bit excited for the holidays this season, even though it's kind of a bummer. And thank you so much for wrapping up palm oil for us. I know many of the NFN networkers know that we've been talking about palm oil all year and how that affects animals like orangutans. But for those of you who are new, I'm glad that you got to see this wrap up of our year and the kinds of things the network does and is passionate about. If you would like to learn more about our programs or how to get involved, we have something called the Network for Nature Leadership Council, which is a group of volunteers who help us strategize and plan our program. So there is more information about that on our website and an application if you'd like to get involved in that group. I'll send a link in the chat for you all so you can click it and check it out. And in a minute, we're going to see an update from another animal team here at the zoo with one of the animals we've been talking about a lot this year. But first, I wanted to welcome all of you new networkers and thank you for being a part of this group and encourage you to check out our Leadership Council. So thank you again, Bobbi. Welcome all to the new networkers. And now we're going to head over and see another animal update.
I'm filming.
You are. So I'm doing Orangutan Diets, and this is all of the greens. Some of the greens are here, some of the greens are here, and we get this daily from the commissary, and then we wash everything kind of to make it almost human standards, and then we cut it up and disperse it to all these bins. So this is Melody, Godek, Bella, and Haran, so each of them has their own bin, and then they get a separate breakfast bin as well. So they get a lot of greens each day. Just trying to think of the totals. It's like probably 7 heads of romaine, quite a bit of spinach, kale, broccoli, and this is the dandelion greens that were just on the video are a rotational green, which are super nice today. They're really nice looking. Organic. And this is their prep sheet, which I have to switch it to Friday for rotational means. So tomorrow they're getting apple and banana and grapes instead of mango and pear and grapes for breakfast. If I can get it to stay up there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, you want to play? You gonna sit down there? You know, over there. Good. Okay. It's a good boy. Gonna give it back. You don't want it right now. You'll have it later, maybe. Is that a trade? Were you thinking you might like some juice right now? I did bring something. Oh, okay. All right. I didn't think you'd be crazy about this because it's not steamed, so I don't think you would like really care. And you don't. How about this? Would you like to try it? All right. Oh, okay. You want to sit there? What you doing? You thinking about playing or? Okay. There we go. Okay. You like it? That is great.